Welcome to Topic Time with Harris and Young. Another scorcher in Eastern, and we're in the vicinity and where we're at, but we'll just keep things up in here tonight. We just can't get hot enough. You guys may remember at the end of 2019, or even through the beginning of the summer, all the way into the end, I had some great musical guests. Well, now I have another great musical duo, or part of a band called the Scallywags. We're going to have them on today, but before I get to them and start the show officially, got to read these incredible underwriters, and then we will commence. So we got Auto Country, King of the Used Car in Abington. We got T. Martini and Sun Floor Covering, also in Abington. No job is too big or too small. We got Chapin Sheds in Whitman. We got my old buddy Dave Lynch's Towing, Auto, Cycle, and Truck Center in Brockton. We got John's Greenhouses and Florist Shop in Brockton. We got Big Lee's Automotive in Abington. We got MDI Auto Brokers and Repair in Whitman, home of the fully certified used car. We got Eastern Fitness in the Village Shops right here in Northeastern. And we got Shovel Shop Spirits also in Northeastern. I want to thank you guys very much. And on that note, we will now start Topic Time officially. Here we go. Okay, again, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Topic Time with Harris and Young. Okay, so we're going to the platform here where a lot of my great musical guests have performed over the last couple of years since I brought the show to Eastern. And we have two members of this band called the Scallywags. This lovely young lady, this is Jenn Bliss. She's the one who set us up. She's an accordionist, a flautist, and she does have a pretty lovely voice for singing. And I also discovered after talking to her on the phone that she sounds like she could be a wonderful female DJ, maybe in another career as well if she wanted to add that. And this gentleman here, this is Jason Berube, but he also goes by Captain Sully. I guess they have a pirate theme going on. That's the name of Scallywag. And I'm going to interview them tonight. They're going to play some music and we'll possibly look at some of the footage of the entire band. They get literally members of the band from that are now stationed for whatever reason all over the world, and it's nice to know that they're infiltrating the world as it should be. So first, Jen, thank you for coming on Topic Time tonight.
I'm glad to be here and catchy music.
Oh yeah, of course. Just so you know, we may have discussed this. My 10th anniversary for doing the show is coming up on August 18th, which is only 20 days from now, and this is the exact same theme song I had the day that I started on that day. So it was catchy then, it's catchy now. 20 years from now, it'll still be catchy.
That's right, it's timeless.
Well,
in the band, I'm actually known as Mad Jenny McBoo.
Oh, okay.
So you better beware.
Okay, well,
it can happen at any moment.
I'm glad you don't have an eye patch on. You look too freaky. You too, even though you look like a pirate, Captain Sully. So,
Scully.
Sully. Okay. So, thank you for coming in too and being with her. You definitely look the part. Pirate, except without the eye patch, but I always figure it's better if a pirate doesn't have an eye patch, or a hook of a hand either, you know.
Well, you know, they wear the eye patch to keep one eye accustomed to the dark. So if they're attacked in the dark, they can flip it up and be accustomed.
Well, I know they had a reason for it.
It is true.
I've never been confronted by pirates until today, so I'm hoping I'm safe after all this. All right, well, so what I do with every guest is I try to, get a little history of everybody, and then find out how they got to be where they're at. So ladies first, we'll start with you, Jen. How did you get to be, Jenn Bliss, flautist, guitarist, and member of the Scallywags? And talk about what you were like as a kid and how it got you there. If I have any questions, I'll fire them away.
All right, that's a long tale. So I'll try to sum it up in 20 words or less.
We can talk, go ahead.
Long story longer. Well, I did a lot of acting when I was a child. I started acting when I was 7, and I started acting professionally when I was about 11, 12.
You did mention that to me. You did mention that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mentioned it to everyone. That's
what
you do when you're an actor.
So
I'm an actor.
When you talk about acting, you mean theater acting and film acting.
I worked in both the stage. I was really passionate about the stage. And then when I was about 12, 13, my dad moved to Hollywood, California. So I tried my hand at becoming a star, and I did a couple of movies and commercials and that sort of thing when I was very young, and then moved back to Maine. I went from Portland, Maine to Hollywood, California, and back and forth a couple of times, and so quite culture shock going in both directions. In Portland, I did quite a bit of stage work, from when I was 10 to about 20, and that's when my path kind of went a different way, and I started working with music for theater, and I did an internship or apprenticeship at the Williamstown Theater Festival, and I assistant directed music for Midsummer Night's Dream, an outdoor production of that, and really got passionate about that, about music and theater and how they work together.
Okay.
And then moving on, I started working with festivals and sort of portable theater, like parades.
Theater festivals, musical festivals, or both?
Arts festivals,
Okay.
culture festivals, community festivals, you name it.
Portland is a very rich community for the arts, isn't it?
Well, this was many cities later. I did several movies in San Francisco.
Wow.
In the midst of that, directed by Louisa Suta, and then did some more work back in Portland, Maine, and did some work in Connecticut.
Okay.
And so I moved around a lot when I was younger, and then finally kind of settled a little bit down in Cambridge and Jamaica Plain in Massachusetts, and started working with the Rebels, and worked with them for many years, and then with Spontaneous Celebrations in Jamaica Plain, and then I started my own community festival in East Somerville. And
Wow.
so, yeah, and that was about 5 years ago when I left Massachusetts and moved back to Maine, and now I have a farmhouse up there, and I'm scheming up new things. But the story of the Scallywags will come after that, I guess, after we hear from Jason and his past.
Why don't we have him
Yeah.
get in a few words about the Scallywags?
Yeah.
How did you, first of all, I want to find out how you two became, a musical item and the Scallywags. So tell me a little about yourself, Jason.
Yeah,
Captain,
I'll lead right up into it.
Where you from and all this,
So
and how
I
you got me
grew up in North Andover, Methuen, Mass, so I'm local.
Okay.
And I grew up with my major mentor was Han Solo, so it was always pirates for me.
Okay.
And then in college, I lived in a place called Butterfield, and we actually seceded from the United States and flew a pirate flag from our building. And
Okay,
so I've
where did you
always
go to
been into
college?
piracy. Say what?
Where did you go to college?
UMass,
Oh, which one?
Amherst.
Oh, the Zoomass.
Yeah, it was a zoo, all right.
Oh,
And so yeah, we flew a pirate flag from our dorm and seceded from the United States, and that was about when the Zapatista Rising was happening in the early 90s and the end of apartheid. And so I became a sort of social activist right around then. And then I started studying piracy, especially this book by Marcus
They actually
Rediker.
offer a course of piracy. I assume they guess at UMass. If they wouldn't have offered it at any school, I guess UMass would be.
Yeah, well, no, I did that on my own, But Marcus Rediker was a radical rehistorian, and he
Okay.
would tell history from the ground up instead
Right.
of the conquerors down.
Okay.
And one of the things that interests me about piracy was it was one of the first places in the world where there was a known democracy, where each person on the ship had a vote of who was to be captain, where to sail the ship, which ships to attack, and how to split the booty.
Yarr.
It was the first known workers' comp. So if you got in a battle and you lost a left eye, you got an extra 10 doubloons.
Wow.
If you lost your right eye, you got an extra 15 doubloons. And people would take care of each other and work as a team.
Someone always had a bird on the shoulder too, right?
Aye, 'tis true.
Aye.
Yeah, and so, it was the first place where different people of different ethnicities and religions all worked together for a single purpose. So it didn't matter your skin or your god or your lack of it. You still had one vote.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah,
Vote on the boat, right?
thing. Hmm.
On a
Wow.
boat.
And so, and then Mad Jenny was doing a pirate show at the New England Aquarium.
It was a puppet show.
Yeah.
We had been commissioned, the Underground Puppet Theater, Underground Puppet Library, actually, Sarah Peaty, who was one of the designers for puppets for Bread and Puppet for many years, actually the designer, I think, has a little puppet library in downtown Boston, right under the Emmanuel Church, and she was commissioned to design a puppet show for the Boston Aquarium.
Okay.
focused around the environment and and the dangers to the environment and to the sea life. And so we co-wrote and co-produced or co-created this puppet show that involved giant puppets. The stage was Poseidon, and we had an octopus and a barracuda and a little pirate in a boat who is attacked by sea monsters, and all sorts of drama and. And it was a really, really fun time. We performed all summer long, way back when. Oh, geez.
15, you also mentioned to me that
15 years ago or so, something like that.
You mentioned to me too that you performed that stuff at the Children's Museum right around the corner from
Yeah. Well, the origin is that we were there at the Boston Aquarium. Our characters as puppeteers were pirates. So we came out as pirates, being the puppeteers, and then we would go on to have the puppets. So we came out singing pirate songs, and then go on with the puppet show, and then end with a song, and then we would have a break with these long breaks in between shows. So we would sit by the pier down there and just hear the creaking of the posts, and just it would bring us right to the spirits of the sailors lost at sea and of all of the tales told by pirates for so many years.
And not only lost at sea, when I read Villains of All Nations by Margaret Rediker, one of the stories that hit me the most was of a guy named William Fly, and he was hung in Boston Harbor in 17 for the crime of high piracy. And at the time, Cotton Mather was the priest guy who was trying all the witches in Salem.
Yeah.
And he was a very famous guy, one of the most famous guys in America. And so they called him in to break the spirits of the pirates, to get them to repent of their ways. And no matter how hard he tried, William Fly would not repent. And when he was on the gallows pole, he addressed the audience, saying, "I'm to die an honest fellow who's wronged no man." And my message here to all is it's the brutality of the captains that drive us to piracy. And so this whole idea that the merchant class and the elites use brutality in order to dominate people's lives. They would Shanghai people, and they'd wake up on the ship and, "Oh, would you like to join the crew or walk the plank?"
Wow.
Not much of a choice.
Not much.
And so they'd beat them to an inch of their life, and not pay them their fair wages, and like starve them. And that's what made people have to rebel. They say, hey, we can either die like this, or we can all work together. And one of the coolest things about the time is that if you worked together and overthrew a ship, you had control of the most advanced technology of your age. A man-o-war with cannons, there was nothing that could beat it. So you could, because you had more people on the ship. And so it's a great metaphor for these days, because there's more of us than there are of them to this day. 99%, are being pushed down, and only 1% getting all the booty. So we still have a lot of work to do.
So what was this, like the 1700s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right up through
18, 19, yeah.
Right up through
right
the
up through
golden
to
age
today.
of
I mean, there's
piracy.
still
Still
pirates right
Well,
now.
The only pirates I hear about today are usually the Somali pirates.
Right. But they're essentially doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's they're protecting their waters. They're a self-appointed naval
They call themselves the Somalian Navy.
Yeah.
What happening is cruise ships will go by and dump toxic waste into their waters.
Wow, that's not nice.
And then they live on fish and in fishing, and they're all dying of uranium poisoning and cancer and stuff. So they've got to go out there just to fight for their very existence. And what does the U.S. do? On Christmas Day, we shoot them all in the head. Teenagers, early 20s, as if like they had a choice.
That's rough.
It's rough.
Well,
yeah, it's quite.
I can understand why. I mean, it sounds like to some way, in some degrees, being in the pirate world is kind of the noble thing, but at the same time, it's not. It took a while for it to come to fruition in civilization too, as it is now. Although
what you call civilization isn't so civil after all, is it?
No.
No, is it? But we talk about it and we say, oh, civilization. Christians and acting good in the eyes of God. Meanwhile, they torture, rape, and destroy.
I know. Listen, I totally agree with you. But here's the thing. I don't want to get too political on the show because we don't want dissension. We want unity. But
absolutely. Well, and that is what we were going for with.
Of course.
So once we started,
once
we started getting
what
we thought. Well, when we felt that we were receiving messages from these souls that had gone before, that had fought for their rights and their freedom,
right.
And we started writing songs for them, and so we formed this band, the Scallywags, which originally was just the 3 puppeteers in a band, and
Nicola.
There was Nicola, who's now living somewhere in the world. She's always in a different country, so you never know exactly where she is, and myself. Mad Jenny. I think at that time wasn't quite Mad Jenny McBoo. I might have been Jenny McBoo. I wasn't quite as mad yet, something like that. But Captain Scully was always Captain Scully, and these songs just started happening. We wrote A Pirate's Life for the show, and then we wrote a song about
William Fly. The second song was The Gallows Lament,
right?
Which was a song about being sent to the gallows and not repenting, because you knew that you had been wrong.
Tell you what,
and maybe moving on into actually playing, the third song that we wrote during that time was called Ladies of the Sea, and we started. Well, I wrote the song because I was thinking about the ladies, the women, and in particular there was Mary Read and Anne Bonney, who were both.
They were wives of Henry.
They were wives. No, they were wives of Calico Jack, and,
okay.
And so they traveled together with him on sea, and many times they were doing the fighting, and he was lying around drunk down under. Under
if
his
you'd have fought like a man, you wouldn't have had to die like a dog.
So Anne Bonney, there's a very famous picture, and hopefully we can post it on here, of Anne Bonney's tactic in defense and in. Assault too is
you guys want to perform something?
Well, yeah. Well, so first I'll just tell this story real quick, and
okay.
then we'll play the song. And so what Anne Bonney would do is if the ship was attacked, she would get up there on board of the front of the ship, and the other ship would be coming towards them, and she would be there ready. And from a distance, especially with one eye, she looked like a man. She was dressed like a man, ready and poised with her, her gun in one hand, her knife in another, her sword. And when they got just close enough to see her, she would tear open her shirt to reveal her womanly bosom, and they would just shock the men aboard the other ship, which would render them very vulnerable to the attack. So that was her tactic. And on that note, I have a song about it. So we can go right ahead and start singing. Yeah. And it goes out to all the ladies who suffer from oppression, which is pretty much all ladies of the world, one way or another, suffer from
some kind of
oppression, let us say. It might be internal, it might be external.
Well, patriarchy.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're thriving patriarchy. So here goes to the strength of the women folk and the men who support them. And
awesome.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Ladies of the Sea.
Ladies of the sea, boys, ladies of the sea. It's always the ladies of the sea.
We haven't done the gallows in quite some
so
time.
Maybe we should end with the black Calico Jack or Black.
Well, we only got one more?
Yeah. Do we only have time for one more song?
Just a short one, and then I'll wrap it up with
Okay.
my music.
Yeah.
It's up to you, Mad Jenny.
Oh, well.
How long was the gallows song too long?
Well, we just haven't played in a really long time.
Okay,
we have
alright,
to
well,
revisit it to be able to play it. Yeah, let's play A Pirate's Life. Why not?
A Pirate's Life
A
it
Pirate's
is,
Life was
then.
the first song that was ever written for the Scallywags.
Like all
I do, and later we'll provide clips to people who were like all of our members, our crew that's all around the world. And I do want to point out our Jolly Roger, because every pirate creates their own Jolly Roger, and our instruments are our weapons, and you can see why now. So, shall we do?
All right.
Long ago and far away, we sailed with the Navy. And one day we'd had enough, and we were feeling pretty tough. We knocked the captain in the head and sailed into the fog. A pirate's life for me, couldn't get round and sailing free. A pirate's life for me, a pirate's life for me, a pirate's life for me. We're having our party, a pirate's life for me. Once the because we're blind, we all snuck up from behind.
One by one they come down and get us for our lives.
We tied them all up to the mast, then to each of them we asked, will you join our mutiny or will you kiss our
Noses.
our Nigh? Come on! Pirate type for me, a pirate type for me, drinking rum and sailing free, a pirate type for me, pirate type for me, a pirate type for me, you'll grab it or you're booty, a pirate type for me. And now we sail the seven seas, drinking rum and honey.
And all our booty do we share, almost equally.
As for our old generals, yes, we sent them all to Davy Jones' locker.
If you know what I mean.
For holding loyal to the king who does nothing but kill. Quite uncreative.
I would say, would you like a king to do something more fun? Like make music and have parties and invite everybody?
That's the kind of thing I'm into.
I think so. Yes.
I just
well,
do.
let's hope for a better future, shall we?
Pirates like Bonney, a pirate's like Berube, get on the tail and free, a pirate's like Bonney, pirate's like Berube, a pirate's like Berube, we're grabbing all your booty, a pirate's like Berube, pirate's like Berube, a pirate's like Berube, drinking on the tail and free, a pirate's like Berube, pirate's like Berube, a pirate's like Berube, we're grabbing all your booty, a pirate's like Berube, pirate's like Berube. Pirates like me, drinking on the tail tree. Pirates like me, pirates like me, pirates like me, drinking on the tail tree. Pirates like
Wow. Unbelievable.
Well, thanks, Harrison, so much for having us here, and it's so great to be in spitting distance of the. Later in our pirate careers, we formed a production company called the Moonship,
Okay.
and we used to perform at the Eastern Children's Museum regularly, and it was just wonderful. We did that for about 5 years, several times a year, and so anybody that maybe we saw and played music with back
It was
a
a
while
heck of a good
ago,
time.
then I hope you're watching and.
Believe me, they
And
play
we're still
Top Time
around.
plenty in Easton, so they play at my show a lot in Easton. You'll be
Yeah,
well
I can
well
see
endowed
why.
around here.
Yeah.
No question about
Yeah,
it.
we had a real great time there.
Well, so going forward, what are your plans for the future? Just gonna.
Well, the reason we're getting the band back together is because it seems like there's a lot of marauding kidnapping going on these days.
Okay.
You've requested to keep it non-political, but there do
That's
seem
all
to
I
be
understand.
unmarked cars and unmarked people whisking folks away, and it's against the law.
No, I agree.
You know, so it's got to be equal across the board, or it doesn't work, does it?
We're getting together again to speak once again for the people who cannot speak for whatever reason. And so we speak through our music some of the truth that we see with our own 2 eyes, or 1 or 2, or is it 1 or is it 2? Or, but we like to be observers of what is happening and relay it musically.
We got one song about the stolen election, you know. We took the Gilligan's Island theme and switched it up to be about, I'll sit right back, you'll hear a tale of, well, you know.
Yeah.
But the folk music holds the true history of a culture. And so we're trying to provide some folk music for the folk so that down the road, people can know what really happened.
Well, you guys are as folksy as guests as I've ever had in the 10 years I've been doing the show.
Oh, great.
You were awesome. So you guys want to...
Thank you.
Thank you so
And you're
much.
awesome too.
So,
You're one of the crew now.
thank you. I love it. Yeah. All
It's
right.
true.
Well, we're gonna wrap the show up.
Great.
Ready to? You can snap with me if you want. Please don't stomp your feet though. It might upset the CD in there.
Okay.
All right.
All right, folks. Thanks for watching more great episodes of Stop Times. You can see we had a kill show tonight. Not literally, but you know what I'm saying. And more next time. Take care. Here we go. Thank you very much.